All right, gang. Oh my gosh, I don't have my coffee. Welcome to Charts and Coffee with Raghee. It is Wednesday, December 2. Good to have you all here. And I am enjoying a very nice Ethiopian, I can't even pronounce it, coffee this morning, which I do not have in my office. Actually, setting up some new software for a podcast that I'm doing with the folks over at Infinity Futures. Big fan of what they do over there. Excellent brokerage for, specifically, they're great futures brokerage, but if you're a day trader, they're a really great brokerage. So kind of getting all arranged for the podcast with them at 10. You guys can check that out. So I know, get that coffee, right? Maybe we'll get some more symbols in when I'm drinking less coffee here this morning. All right, good to see everybody. Yes, yeah. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of water. Nothing wrong with water. I've got a water rule. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Yes, chilly. It is chilly. It is chilly. Yeah, it's I think it's in the 40s in Florida. This is winter. This is light the fireplace. I think we've got some wood. I kid you not. I live in South Florida. We do have a fireplace in the house, and we might light it tonight. I don't know. All right, again, happy Wednesday. Let's get to it. So first come, first serve on whatever questions you guys might have. I'm going to run through a couple symbols that I've got on my radar. So let's go ahead and get to it. We're going to go take a quick look at the broader averages first. And again, let's stick with the directional bias. Let's stay consistent with the long side of the trade. If there's anything that burns traders time and time again, gang, it's this. And I'll use Tesla as an example. All right. And I was walking through Tesla with our group yesterday over in the Simpler Futures and Simpler Options room, as well as my Sector Secrets Mastery. And I said, look, at the entire year, here we are. Let's look December to December. Where have we been in terms of the overall direction? And you might say, well, Rob, we know that now. That's true. That's true. Let's get some handy dandy drawing tools out here and talk about this in a slightly bigger picture. This is going to apply to everything you do, gang. Through here, and you can see it through here, this is what I call double green, right? This is what I call double green. That means that the structure of the 8, 13, 21, and 34, which is what's being measured here, and this is the history of all that down in here, is double green. You do nothing but look for opportunities to buy. Now, whether you're a momentum breakout trader with confirmation of high volume to do it, whether you're a pullback trader, however it is you like to look at these setups, think long, have directional bias. If there's one thing that I can typically offer traders who are struggling with trading, it's this: become a one-way trader. Before you're open to playing both the long and short side of the market, sometimes in rapid succession, think about, gosh, what if I just dedicated myself to one side of the trade, because that's the dominant psychology. That's the path of least resistance. The only brief period of time that we were bearish in this market, according to those moving averages that I've trusted now for well over 30 years, is this tiny little window right there at the very end of March and beginning of April. That is it. And so what happens is traders start getting very, well, isn't this overextended, or isn't this overextended? Or even now, it might be. It very well might be. But do you really want to do this and this and this, like those contrarian monkey traders want to do? Good luck with that as they swing from limb to limb like a drunken monkey. That's been the direction overall of the market. Gang, I hope what this tells you is something that it echoes what Charles Dow talked about over a century ago. And that is, in my paraphrasing, respect the trend that was. So even when the market starts to behave in a way that we would consider is maybe choppy, is maybe not in the same trend that it was, right? In other words, we might say the market's getting a little range bound in these particular areas, look back and say, well, how did we get here? Oh, we rallied to get here. And how did we get here? Oh, we rallied to get here. Think about oversold buys when the trend transitions to chop. If you get nothing else from me, that alone should make a huge difference in your trading. And this has been one that I've gotten a lot of questions about. And absolutely, does it then transfer over to the S&P, to the NASDAQ, to the Dow, to the Russell? Absolutely, gang. V tops and V bottoms are rare. They do happen, right? They do happen. Respect the trend that was a loss. But if you use that one exception and you're looking for more of that throughout the year, right? It really was a low probability setup. So please don't assume V tops and V bottoms are sort of the norm. They're not. They're not. And usually they're going to accompany Fed shenanigans. All right. What did the Fed do in December? As you're rolling into we've done this twice, by the way. When we were rolling into 2019, 2018, rate hike. And that sent the market lower. What happened this year? I mean, clearly this was all the news about the pandemic, right? About COVID. So it's really interesting when you squeeze in a little bit more and you look at 2019, way back over here. That was a rate hike. Boom. This was COVID. Boom. But other than that, respect the trend that was. I hope you guys resonate with that and think about that next time you think you're going to pick a top and do, who does that stuff? Picks tops, picks bottoms, clowns on CNBC. I didn't join the circus. I'm a trader, right? Let's think about moving with the trend that was. All right. So with that being said, do I generally avoid, hey there, Jamie, do I generally avoid day trading on month end like this Monday? I personally, Jamie, did not day trade Monday. Well, frankly, for two reasons. My sister was still in town and I really wanted to enjoy a nice breakfast with her before she caught a flight. But the other reason was, I know that's a very personal reason, but that's okay. The other reason was, and this is every time we have a long weekend, when we have a long weekend, I find the Monday following a long weekend can be a little problematic. And so coming after what for some people was a 5-day holiday, Thursday off, Friday, a lot of people were off. There's only a half day in the market. Saturday, Sunday, boom, Monday. That's a long, it's a long weekend for a lot of people, 4-day weekend. Sometimes that Monday can be a little wonky and I'll be a little bit more cautious. And I had all the more reason to do that because my sister was in town. But Jamie, yes, long weekends, I'll be a little bit more cautious on that Monday. All right, so next up is, let's see. Kim says a little bit of wine later. Yeah, so a little bit of wine later won't hurt. I will say, on a cold day, yeah, red wine always does sound good, doesn't it, Kim? I don't know what that is. That's the second show we're going to start. Wine and charts with Raghee, but I don't know if that's going to be as helpful as coffee and charts with Raghee. All right, what are my thoughts on buying XLY prior to be adding? XLY, consumer discretionary, has been a very good. I mean, take a look at the history of this. Oh, by the way, every one of those lines was a trade. These were old lines from when I prepared for my most recent class, my ETF master class. And so you can see all the different dates. Those were the different dates for trade entries. I've predominantly been bullish XLY, but let me say this. Tesla being added to the index, Tesla being added to these individual ETFs is more bullish for Tesla than I believe it is for the sector or the index. So it's more bullish for the individual stock than it is the tide. Having said that, let's look at it from a different perspective. I'm going to bring up a multi-chart now, and I think some of you are probably pretty familiar with these multi-charts. So this multi-chart here shows the tide, XLY in the upper left-hand corner, and then the individual stocks weighted in the order of their priority in the ETF. So these are high concentration weighted ETFs. Most of them are. This is a high concentration weighted ETF. And so in order, you'll see the stocks in terms of their weighting. I would say, and you can already see some of the work I'm looking at Starbucks, Nike, any of the double green stocks in XLY are absolutely valid for a potential entry to the long side. What I'll do is two things. So for those of you that are wondering, how do you do this, Rog? And this is a big thing of what we do in the Sector Secrets. So watch list building is number one. Look, gang, a lot of the problems that traders experience as traders is coming from the fact that we get too focused on the trading and not as focused on the watch list building. Good trading, to me, is really, really good watch list building. You can do the right thing in the wrong stock. You can do the right thing in the wrong futures contract. You can do the right thing in the wrong part of the options chain. If you have a really good watch list, you're minimizing the likelihood that you're putting on a great put credit spread or putting on a great call vertical in the wrong type of market environment. So you might have gotten the mechanics of the trade down perfectly, but you're doing it in the wrong place. Does that make sense? Combine the good mechanics, that we teach over at Simpler with a very, very well curated, process driven, curated watch list, and you're putting everything together in your favor. So having said that, is XLY a double green? Yes, I definitely like that. I definitely would be keeping an eye on that step. Yeah, for sure. The next thing is, Tesla being added to the index, S&P, it's in the NASDAQ already, and being added to XLY, wherever else it's going to be added is more bullish for Tesla than it is the underlying index. And when you look at the underlying index, think about what you have to work with now: Nike, Starbucks, Target, Booking, TJ Maxx, General Motors, and think about pullback buys in those particular markets. Okay, so really two different questions. One's about how am I going to trade XLY, and how am I going to trade Tesla? And for now, I'm going to treat them as two separate things. Terrific question, though. Terrific question. All right, next up is 19 degrees in Charlotte. Whoa. Oh, no, 25 in Charlotte, 19 in Chicago. Oh, and that Chicago cold that's coming off the water cold. Yeah, that's brutal. Oof. I remember when I was in Toronto, I was actually teaching a professional gambler, an honest to goodness professional gambler, how to trade. I took my mom up there because she wanted to see the Niagara Falls. So I taught this trader for about 3 or 4 days, I think it was, and then I took her out to Niagara, and it was cold. And where we were staying was right off the lake. Holy cow, that was otherworldly cold. And I grew up in Vermont, but I've been in Florida way too long. Fireplace in South Florida, candle holders. Now it's an honest to goodness chimney fireplace. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How do I enter using propulsion dots and the relation to the wave? So DC, let me show you. You know what? Let's open up Starbucks since we were talking about the XLY. When a propulsion dot appears, think of it in many ways as a dot to dot. Okay. What that means is that if I were to connect the dots in these yellow lines, just like that, like think of it as a dot to dot, that's where the 13 exponential moving average would be. If I were to do the same thing with the green dots, like so, that's where the 21 exponential moving average would be. When the dots appear, or as I like to say, they're lit up, when the dots are lit, what I know then is that that moving average has interacted with the 8, because it's an 821 cross. Same thing with this one. It's an 813 cross. I know it's interacted with the 8 and with the lows of price to meet the criteria of why a dot should be on my chart, as opposed to not visible. Once it's visible, I then would view the 8 or the 13 or the 21 or whatever setting I've got for my propulsion dots. I would view that then as a valid moving average. In this case, because we're a double green uptrend, I would view that as a valid support level for a pullback. And that's it. That's it. So moving averages actually are not that smart. They think they should be on all the time, right? They think they should be always active, always giving an opinion about what's happening in the market. And what I want to do is tell them, look, I don't want you turning on when certain criteria are met. So it's really a smart or self-correcting moving average. Okay. So I hope that helps. All right. Next question. Janet, it's 21 and sunny in Iowa. Very nice. I've never been. All right. I back tested. Hey there, Alex. I back tested my trades using the multi-trend. In other words, you kind of looked at the correlation of P&L and entries to the history of the JT multi. Awesome. And all my double green entries were winners. There's nothing for me to add there, right? It is the best environment for momentum breakouts and for buy the dip, period. Yes, it is always going to give you an advantage, gang. It's really the most ideal scenario for the largest group of traders. Awesome, Alex, and kudos for putting the work in. Okay, so let's see. Am I still expecting Powell fades later today? Larry, that is what we did yesterday. If you checked out the free video over at Simpler Trading, where I described what we did in our chat room. What did we do in our chat room yesterday? For those of you that are, a lot of folks have asked, okay, Rog, where do you go after charts and coffee in the morning? Usually for more coffee. But I head on over to the Simpler Futures room and the Sector Secrets Mastery room. And that's where I spend most of my day. And then Mondays and Fridays, I'm in the Simpler Options room. So there's a lot of different places you guys can go for content and for trading ideas and for the community. Now, what we did yesterday on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm live on the mic. And what we did yesterday in the room, and I described it in the free video, so feel free to go check that out at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel. You just have to, it's easy, just watch it, is this. We waited for the market to sell off into a support zone. But the timing, and speaking of Powell, so very, very good point. The weakness that typically comes after Powell starts to speak is what we wanted to capitalize on. Now, I was disappointed that he ended up speaking so late in the morning. They started late. Mnuchin went first, then Powell. And so later in the morning, we got this pullback. I would have preferred this all to have happened a little sooner in the morning because I do have that 11:30 cutoff on my day trading in terms of no new entries. But the Dow, the Nas, and the Russell all dipped down to that zone. Now, full disclosure, full transparency. The Russell, I looked at as pretty much a wash. We were able to use a time-based, what I call an eject button exit, and we were able to exit that Russell pretty much at break even, a little bit of a profit. I'm not going to call it a profitable trade. I'm just going to call it a wash. But it was slightly profitable. Then we had the Dow. The Dow, we had a target right around the 30,000 level, and that was a small winner. Not a great winner, but again, at 11:30, the main litmus test is there more money in my account at 11:30 than there was at 9:30? And if that answer is yes, I can put a check in the box. I did my job. The last entry, well, it wasn't last in order of fills, but the last entry, the one that we managed the most throughout the day, was the NASDAQ. And you never know which one of these trades is going to be the one that just grinds higher. Small cap just couldn't get out of its own way. Large cap, limited upside. Tech, it just ran up the hill. And that was great. We did not put all of our trades in one. I didn't go DIA, IYT in a Dow stock, right? I didn't go deep. I went wide. That way, if different behavior emerged in terms of flow, I had some exposure. And the NAS ended up being a terrific trade for us yesterday. So yeah, I might do the same thing again today if we can get down to those lows and I have a low risk, exhaustive level to engage as a day trader. So yes, terrific question, and absolutely. When will I move my anchored volume tools? Good question. When will I move those? I will move those Friday or Monday. I'll usually move those 4 to 5 days into the new month. So that'll either be this Friday, I'll re-anchor them, or Monday. So Terrific question. All right, here. I know we got a lot of questions here, and we're just about out of time here. So let's see. I don't have the link for the podcast. It's for Infinity Futures. I believe that they sent out some emails. I believe Pajama Trading with Raghee. Alex, it's so funny you mentioned that. One of my first articles in Pajama Trading was a CNN Money article and about traders who traded the Asian session. And let's see. I think it was one of the first references to pajama. There you go. 2011. And there is me and my messy desk. My desk is far cleaner now, and I've got a lot more monitors, but that was back in July of 2011. And yeah, so you could tell how engaged in media I was. Like, CNN wants to do an article about your trading. Like, okay. Not proud of that desk, but it's honest. It's honest. Pajama trading. All right. So I had downloaded the JT multi-trend option from the yes, Alex, it's in the options room, it's in the sector secrets room, it's in the futures room. You got it. It's not for purchase. No, I don't sell. I have one set of indicators that I sell right now, and that's my V score, anchored VWAP, anchored V profile. The rest of them, a lot of these tools I make available to our community for free. So it's a simpler trading community. Okay. All right. So you know what, gang, I'm going to wrap this up so you guys can head on over to your respective rooms. I will see you all tomorrow morning, same time, same station. Thank you as always for joining me, and be good to each other, gang. All right. Talk with you soon.